Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday, right? Like all the days are blending together at this point, but I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday. So thank you so much for joining us on this fall mid-September day. I am here with the fabulous comedian, actress, all around good person, Jessica. It's all good. Jessica, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, we are so thrilled to be chatting with you, and getting to know a little bit more about you during this interview. And we'll be also talking about her comedy special that she's going to be bringing to our stage, as well to our physical stage as well as our digital stage towards the end of November. So if you have any questions about Jessica or about the show, please feel free to go ahead and throw them into the comments, and we will get to them and we will make sure to answer those questions. But let's go ahead and just dive right in. So Jessica, I'm going to ask you the very standard interview as well as first date question. Which,
First date.
yeah.
Oh, start dating kind of
Yeah.
young groups. Like, well, college, my parents won't let me date. So, wait, did I have a? Yeah, that's not the date you're talking about.
No.
Oh,
But speaking of that, because I saw it on Facebook, happy engage anniversary.
thank you. Thank you so much. I'm still like, oh my gosh, somebody married me.
Um, but speaking of like engagements and marriages, it's standard. I'm gonna pretend we're on a first date. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I enjoy long walks on the beach, long walks through the city lights. Joking, we don't need that. I am originally from Greenville, South Carolina. Moved to Atlanta to chase the dream to be a famous actress back. Well, I tried to move back in 2008, but kind of fell on my face. Went through a lot, gave up, went back to South Carolina, and then came back to Atlanta in 2009. And I have been working hard ever since. The acting thing had kind of got pushed back to the back once comedy started to really take over. One of the other things I was doing while I was acting out here was modeling. That was a fun experience as well. I also did a lot of kids' birthday parties and things like that. So a lot of the things that I did before is what really sparked what we have today. And now I am married. Almost, we got engaged this day 3 years ago, and then married 2 months later. So this November is my wedding anniversary. I love my husband. That's like one of the most proudest things. I can't believe I'm so like I'm a good wife. Okay. So and that is one thing I didn't know. I wasn't quite, I think a lot of people were a little confused on what was going to happen. So we're all excited. My parents are very excited that someone is here and is going to be here, like he's going to stay. So those are a few things about me. I love Georgia. People are like, "Are you coming back to South Carolina?" Nope, not for anything really, but a show and to see mommy and daddy. I love it here. I absolutely love it here. And Woodstock has been a wonderful part of my life too, because Elm Street. I started working with Elm Street as early as November 2010. So we're coming up on like my 10 years of being involved with this theater.
Yeah, a decade. Whoa.
Yeah, honey, I'm not as young as you might have thought. I think you was a baby back in the day. Mm-hmm.
So I guess before we kind of dive into comedy, a couple things that people probably will have recognized you over the course of the past couple years is one, Last Laugh, which is our annual stand-up comedy competition, and you've been the hostess with the mostest with that. Um, but then on top of that, the past few years, you've been involved with Reptor, which is our touring children's theater troupe. And so you've gone around to local elementary schools, and you've been part of that troupe that puts on a show for kids and gets them like really excited about storytelling and things like that. What has your experience been like with both of those?
Well, so to go back before Elm Street, I was a theater major in college. In fact, I graduated from school in 2008 because I was a super senior. My second college was near a beach, so I kind of had to stay there for more than 2 years. And at the age of 12 was when I was for sure going to be an entertainer, going to be an actor. So when I came to Atlanta looking for things to get involved in, one of the things I found was a friend sent me this audition for what was then called I Think. Now I Think and Reptor were two separate entities, but before it was basically I Think for kids and then I Think for family friendly shows. So I had the audition. I got in, was super excited, and started touring with what was then called I Think in the different schools in Cherokee County. And doing improv was wonderful. I had seen Whose Line Is It Anyway? My theater teacher showed us back in high school. So I always knew who Wayne Brady was and all the guys. And so that was kind of something in the back of my mind, but I never thought about actually doing it. So once I got to Elm Street and this opportunity came up, I started doing improv for kids and fell in love. And so I joined the adult group, the nighttime group, I think, and did that for 5 years. So I was on both of those troops for 5 years and just really had a wonderful time. Learned how funny I was on the fly. I mean, a lot of people knew I was funny, but to realize just how easy that came to me was just phenomenal. Like I needed it. The first few years I was at Elm Street like 2 to 4 times a week. And it was funny because I don't live in Woodstock, so I was making that 75 drive to get out there.
Whew.
Yeah.
And that's without the Peach Pass too. That was not a thing.
Yeah. Oh, I love that thing now. Woo! I get up on there. Like, yes, and since I don't work regularly, my Peach Pass, I save it for what I really needed. There have been at least 2 times where I'm like, I'm just gonna Peach Pass today because I can. You feel a little bougie when you have a Peach
right?
Pass.
I mean, yeah, you feel like you're part of like a very elite club. You're like,
Yeah.
it is just this lane, just for me. Like I'm going
VIP.
VIP.
Very important Peach. I judge all the other people. I'm like, oh, look at you stuck in traffic. Should have gotten that Peach Pass. Then too many people got the Peach Pass, and that ruined my VIP just a little bit. It's a little bit. Everybody's like there. It's like we shouldn't be stopping on Peach Pass. What is this? I paid too much money for this. So but yeah. So making the trip out to Elm Street, I actually ended up in 2 plays at Elm Street because of being so involved. One that was actually by the theater, and one that was an outside company. And then the year that I moved away from Elm Street, that's when comedy was just really taking over. All my work was taking over. And I want to say that's not when I started that's sort of when I started DJing. So then gigs were picking up. But when I left the improv troops, I ended up still at Last Laugh because Last Laugh started when I was still in the troupe. And then I came back to what is now called Reptor when I Think for Kids became just Reptor back in, was it 2018? Was it? Because we just did 2019. No, we did 2000. I came back in 2019. So last year and this year. This year, nobody knows what year it is. Like,
Right.
this is the longest year that just won't go away. So I forgot that all those other shows were this year. Oh my gosh, this year. So 2019 and 2020, I was back with a Reptor and even had the chance to guest star with the adult I Think troupe this past February. That was also this year too. Wow, which was right after.
It seems like forever ago. Like
I know. The funny thing is, after Last Laugh this year, we went on a cruise, and I spent that whole show joking about how I was going on a cruise and everybody else wasn't. And later on, realized that coronavirus was already a thing while we were on the cruise. I almost got stuck on a boat.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it's been a fun ride, but it's been really cool how Elm Street has been there, even when I wasn't quite there as much. It was still there, just thanks to things like a Last Laugh and stuff. So, yay, Elm Street!
We love having you around and just everything that you bring.
Oh my gosh,
being here,
yeah. Whoever made me Black History at Elm Street, I freaked. That was you. That was you. Oh my gosh, it was so funny because no one told me. It was just, by the way, Black History. I'm like, oh, did I sign up for this? Was there a nomination? How did I? Yes, thank you. So I barely post on Twitter because I still am like, wait, Twitter. So how does it? But I was like, Twitter, retweet, Black History, boom, it's February. Yeah, that was epic. And I'm honored to be Black History at Elm Street.
I mean, we like I said, we just love you so much.
I love you
Uh,
guys.
so what was your journey like then to, you know, becoming the comedian that you are now and like creating this like identity and brand for yourself as Jessica It's All Good?
Okay, well, the roots of everything goes way back. I had no idea I was going to be a comedian. I wasn't trying to be a comedian. I made jokes about I should make my life into like a stand-up comedy special. I used to say that in college. Speaking of college, for those who don't know, that's where It's All Good came from. A fellow classmate back in the day at College of Charleston used to change his name on Facebook every day because Facebook was still new. And I thought that was so funny and it was so cool that I was going to be like him. And so I'm like, oh, I'm going to change my name every day too. And I really wanted, I'm very particular about things. So I was like, I want my first name to be Epic. So that would be the beginning of my name changing. And so I had this sticker that said, it's all good. And I love, like I said, it's all good all the time in school. So I was like, you know what? I'll be Jessica. It's all good Williams. That was yeah, I was Jessica Williams in my young days. I was born that way. So that was weird. Anyway, so I was Jessica. It's all good Williams, and that day I changed it. It was so cute. It was so cool. But I'm a procrastinator, so I never actually changed my name after that. I'm like, I need to change this one day, and it just never happened. And then like a year later, someone called my dorm phone. They're like, I'm looking for Jessica Allgood Williams. I was like, oh, people know me as this now. And I mean, like, we're putting it, I did a student film and they credited Jessica Allgood Williams. Like, it just stuck. So I'm like, I guess I'll keep the name. So that was already a thing, like almost 17 years ago, I think, like 15, 17 years ago. And then fast forward to I'm at Elm Street, I'm doing improv. And we had gotten a new cast member who was doing the comedy thing in Atlanta. Like, it's pretty actually easy, I think, to get on the comedy scene out here. And so he was doing that. And I didn't think much of it, but I went to two schools. I got an associate's at Spartanburg Methodist and a bachelor's at College of Charleston. Spartanburg Methodist had me come and give a speech because they were doing an event that was representing the past, present, and future. So the first speaker was the daughter of a congressman. No, she was the congresswoman, and she was the daughter of one of the original first students at SMC back in 1911. So she spoke, and then I represented the present, someone out there in the world chasing the dream now. And then one of the students represented the future and they did some poetry. Well, when I got up there, I figured, I'll talk about chasing this dream of being this famous actress, and talked a lot about teaching drama out here and being a birthday party entertainer. Well, it was so funny that like I realized I'd been up there longer than I meant to. And like, just keep going. And the congresswoman, when it was over, said, I'm so glad, honey, that I went before you. And then students and staff came up and said, we felt like we were listening to a real live comedian. And I was like, okay, bet. And so on that day in October 2011, I decided to be a comedian. And I reached out to my cast member at the I Think now Reptor, and he was excited. He's like, oh my gosh, yeah, Jessica, you're so funny. So he kind of took me under his wing and started taking me to open mics. And I spent a lot of time observing first, because again, I'm particular about things. A lot of people do not realize that. So I didn't want to just do it without deciding what I was going to do first. So I kind of made my own little study situation sessions, whatever. And one thing I noticed about comedy is that it's often very dirty. I'm a woman, and there's a lot of men in comedy, and a lot of these men, not all of them, but a lot of them will joke in ways that are very disrespectful to women. And then they don't think about it when they come and talk to a female comedian. It's just like, oh, this is what we call women on stage. And I'm Black, for a lot of people who haven't noticed. It's been kind of the running thing here. So people, when they joke about race, is always really painful. And so being a Black woman sitting in the audience and listening to just some of this stuff, I'm just like, whoa, I'm trying so hard to be okay, but this is not cool. And then on top of that, people are often vulgar, very raunchy, just said a lot of things that I wouldn't want like my relatives to come to, or if I had kids, I wouldn't want them to hear that. So when I was really starting to decide what angle I was going to go in, I thought, I bet I can do this, not offend anybody, make everyone feel good and not make people feel weird or dirty, and everyone have a good time when it's over. Maybe even leave them with a positive attitude when they walk out. So that's when I was for sure going to be clean. And being at Elm Street, it's a clean improv troupe, and a lot of improv troupes are not clean. So I already had a base in clean comedy to a certain degree. So I went in even into the most non-cleanest shows, still remaining a clean comedian. And now when you think about it, It's All Good with that positive vibe is still kind of there. And it kind of says it before I even get to it, you know? And oh, and on the name thing, obviously, I'm no longer Jessica It's All Good Williams. I know a lot of my old branding people see that, but first I didn't know I was going to get married. Like I really didn't think that through when I chose my stage name originally. And now like, oh, someone married me. So with the name change, that's one thing. And then there's a lot of confusion on another comedian who has the same birth name who got famous before me. And so people would often just delete the It's All Good. I mean, website, Facebook, everything says Jessica's All Good Williams, and they just take out the It's All Good. So a show I did at Elm Street way back in like 2013 almost got shut down because the lawyers or somebody involved with that comedian saw it being advertised and took it as her name. So I realized it's time to make some drastic changes. So if people are paying close attention, they might have noticed the Williamsons disappeared. Still love my family, but it's just It's All Good now, and it's all good. So positive, clean comedian with the fro and the red bow. The fro's down right now, but the bow's there.
Yes, and that was actually the next question I was going to ask, because I see that a lot in, you know, your branding for yourself, but also like on Instagram and stuff, when you do like your hashtag Jessica It's All Good, you add the bow emoji. What's the story behind the bow? Does that have like, what's the significance with that?
So like many things, although I'm a particular person, I get a lot of like lucky accidents. I used to actually really hate the color red when I was a kid. I was such a tomboy. I very much disagreed that girls had to be stuck with pink and red and purple. So my favorite color was green for the longest. But it goes back to the day that my parents brought me my first Mustang. I always wanted Mustangs from high school. I was in love with 2003 green Mustangs. I think they were tropical green Mustangs. So it was the sexiest car. And while I was out here, had a lot of car troubles, lost my first car. It just quit. Like it was like, you know what? Bye. So I was like, I was without a car for a second, and I'd been I am a Christian, so for me, I pray about a lot of everything. Things people don't always hear it in my comedy, but like I do a lot of churches, a lot of churches. So my parents were helping me look for a car back home while I was out here borrowing their car and hustling, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to pray for my dream car. I don't have a lot of money, but I think I can do it. So one day my parents called and they're like, Jessica, your dad found a car. We're not going to get the one that you thought you were going to get, which is like Toyota or something. And they were like, I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, we're getting you something else. We think it fits you better. I'm like, is it a Ford? And my mom's like, yes. I'm like, 2003? She's like, yes, it is, honey. I'm like, it's a Mustang? She's like, yeah. I'm like, is it tropical green? She's like, actually, no, it's red. I'm like, what? But your dad looked at it and said it was you. So we're giving you a red Mustang. I'm like, you know what? Okay, I can live with it. When my parents pulled up in that car, I realized at that moment I may never drive another color car. So red for me started with the red Mustang. And I'd also discovered red high heels back in college. And even though I was so anti like red and pink, I was like, well, I do look sexy with these red on. And people used to always say red was my color. I'm like, no, it's not. Green's my color. Like people say when I was a kid. So wearing red high heels, getting out of a red Mustang was so boss. Okay. And I love Converse.
I can picture that.
Oh, honey. Like I had some very sexy days in my skinny days. Okay. So riding around in that car with my red shoes on, And then red Converses if it wasn't high heels, because I don't even really wear high heels anymore. So if people see like old comedy pictures in high heels, I was young and crazy doing comedy on stage in those shoes. So so yeah, I fell in love with red, and then just fast forward to my current car, I ended up getting another red Mustang, a 2010 red Mustang, because it's very serious to me. Like I've been driving red Mustangs for 10 years now. But so that's where red in general started. And I love contrasting colors. Like I think black and white are so cool together. You can't see my desk here, but just to give you an example of like the red and black theme, the desk is red itself. I wear black and white all the time. Like I love my black and white shades and stuff. And when you put like a little red something with it, it pops. Like it just makes everything just cool and edgy. So the photo shoot that I did for this big tour I was doing, which was back the one I did, which Elm Street was one of the theaters I did my little show in. I wanted this picture of me climbing over a wall in a dress and high heels. I thought it'd be really funny. And I told my photographer friend, and I had another outfit that I did, but the black dress with the white polka dots and the red bow really came together because I always wear flowers in my hair, and red flowers. If you can kind of look at the timeline of my life back in the day, I had a lot of red flowers in my hair before it became a bow. And the way my hair works is very difficult. It's like fighting a tiger when I do my hair. So I learned that taking like one of those big scarves and just tying it up, it pulls it into a cute style immediately, and you can form something nice with a bow. So I'm like, okay, I didn't have someone professional to do my hair that day. I was doing this kind of cool rockabilly thing. So I pulled it up into my red bow, and the picture that now is still, even though I'm not that skinny anymore, it is still on every business card, is the best picture I probably ever took for marketing. And so looking at that, I realized, oh, from the evolving to from the flower to this red bow and how it always works for me. I love to wear blazers on stage. It kind of having that going to work professional vibe, that really, like, I love that black blazer. So kind of adding the red bow kind of gives it that more feminine touch. So if I'm working with a lot of guys and we all got blazers on, but the red bow is there, it's very cute and just kind of brings a lot together. So it evolved into this. And before I knew it, I realized this is what I wear constantly, and it looks good. It sets a tone. It stands out. Anytime I go anywhere, you can always tell that something interesting, different is going to happen just by the way that first impression looks when you walk into a room. So it just became a bunch of falling in love with red and accidentally looking really great in certain outfits. Now it's this is standard now. Although I turned 35 this year, so I'm wondering, like, will it be weird to still be wearing a red bow at 40? And so I'm debating on what's going to happen in 5 years from now. I should focus on the present though right now, so we won't worry about if it's cool to wear a bow with like white hair, because I got white hair coming in now.
I mean, hey, when like 60 plus, you can be part of the red hat ladies, and just get you a red hat and you're all set.
I already have a red hat, baby.
Yes, you do.
I should probably give those ladies a call. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of like it's a beautiful accident, and it works.
Very nice. Well, Jessica, let's switch gears quickly and just talk a little bit about the comedy show that you are bringing to our stage, as well as in a digital format on November 22nd. We're All Chocolate. Can you tell us a little bit about what people can expect at the show and some of the things that you're going to be talking about?
Awesome. Well, yeah. So We're All Chocolate is a comedy show I actually started working on a few years ago. But I didn't have the direction in the beginning. And then my producing partner, we started realizing this could be something really good and needed, especially for like the college group, which is what we originally wanted to market to. But then I realized, people should do this, should talk about these things more in this way. As I mentioned earlier in the conversation, comedy, when people joke about race in comedy, is always usually offensive and kind of painful, and it comes from a negative place. All my comedy comes from a positive place. I mean, I'm married to a white dude, so I kind of have to come from love somewhere when half my family's white. But my comedy, I realized whenever I talked about these things, even if it was race related, people often maybe got a little educated and had a great time listening to this, and no one's feelings were hurt. And my life just, I have so many crazy things, Justin. I don't know how. I try to be a normal person and just crazy stuff follows me. So it's a very funny life. And I realized that I could really talk about these things and do it in such a positive way that it should be a show. Even the title, We're All Chocolate, comes from a funny story that happened in a drama class one day. There's a video about it, and several, like half of this show will be things that people might have heard before, just maybe polished up, or some things have been added on. And then there's new material that hasn't been heard yet. Like no one even knows what's going to happen next. But this show was supposed to be, we were raising money to do a, hopefully a like Netflix, Hulu special, some kind of comedy special that we could pitch to Prime or one of these streaming channels. But the coronavirus hit. We couldn't keep raising money because you can't ask people for money in times like this. And so I kind of gave up and was like, you know what, I'm just going to leave it for 2021 or whatever. But then noticing all the issues happening in the world today, being a Black woman who is a comedian who has a comedy special about race, I thought, you know what? We got a lot of crying and pain and fighting going on. We should go ahead and throw some laughing in now. So this is a show where anyone can come and hear life from the perspective of a Southern chocolate chip Black lady out here in the South, talking about my fun adventures of the crazy things that have happened with me when it comes to just marriage, life, race, even my dating history. It wasn't what does he look like, it was who's paying for dinner. So you just get really open-minded when you're living life that way. And the goal with this now, because we can't really do what we originally planned, it might be way better because I know theaters are suffering right now, not being able to put on full-length plays. So one person on stage in a social distant audience, we can raise money for theaters. And Elm Street being so special to me, that's why I wanted to do this with you all, because this is a theater that's doing amazing things in Woodstock and has done amazing things for my life. So I definitely wanted to kick off here. Hopefully we'll be able to go to other places. If people believe this is the kind of show that folks need, maybe the GoFundMe can allow us to perform it in other places. But this show is very important to me, and I think it's important to the time that we live in. So people can expect to laugh a lot. We talked about doing a talk back after the show. And so comedy and race will be the theme of that for those who are there live and want to ask questions about where a lot of these things came from or get to the deeper perspective of stuff. Because I have some stories that are funny, but people don't know with comedians, we share stories that we might be laughing now, but we were in pain. We were crying at that time before. We were scared at the time before. So being able to take those moments and turn a positive twist on it is a beautiful thing. And I think that a lot of people will be happier and able to talk about this very difficult subject, which honestly, people should talk about it. It's not that serious. It doesn't have to be that serious. So it's serious, but it doesn't have to be. You know? I wanted to make that clear. Don't get mad at me for whoever might have taken that the wrong way. But I hope that kind of answers the question. Did you have any other things you wanted me to say about that?
No, I think you covered all of your bases with that, giving us a little bit of what we can expect. And I think it's also just a testament of how much you are adored by people, because as you were telling that story, Christina, is like, I'm your biggest fan and I love you.
Oh, really?
John says, love you. So excited for your show. So I think that's a testament of, just who you are as a comedian and a storyteller, and your ability to be able to draw people in, and be able to have a good time, have a laugh, be able to have those it's all good vibes with it.
Oh, thank you, Justin. And thank you everybody who's saying stuff. You guys are awesome. Love you, heart.
Yes, we love you too, Jessica. Well, unfortunately, it is looking like we are reaching the half-hour mark.
Okay.
It seems like it just flew by.
I know. I'm like, what?
But with all of that being said, remember November 22nd, go ahead and check out We're All Chocolate. It is Jessica It's All Good's comedy special. You can see it live in our theater. We're doing a limited capacity, so very, very much, in in tandem with social distancing and everything like that, so you can feel safe and comfortable, but still have a good time. And we're also going to be doing a live stream option as well. So you will have a digital option to still be able to experience the show. And, in hopes that we can spread, these good vibes and this show, to others. But Jessica, I just want to say again, thank you so much for taking the time and being here today and chatting with me, and being a part of Elm Street for a decade. Like, we really appreciate it.
And I appreciate Elm Street for being in my life for so long and giving me the opportunities that I've had, being an entertainer, a Black entertainer out here in these streets, the streets of Woodstock. But thank you for having me today. Thank you, Elm Street, for everything you've done and everything that we're going to do together. And thank you, everyone, for watching.
All right, everyone, we will see you later. Until next time, please stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and we will see you soon. Bye.